episode 2 of Bits of My Broken Brain podcast, and my lovely fairy goddaughter Megan Clark is joining me again.
Hello everybody.
And it's a shame you can't see because my Megan looks absolutely beautiful. She's got the most gorgeous auburn curly hair. Megan is my goddaughter, and I'll let you speak, Megs.
So, yeah, I'm Megan. I am Gemma's goddaughter, as she said, but also have been working with Gem on this podcast and a lot of other things since she's been diagnosed, just trying to raise as much money as we can. And you might have spoken to me behind the scenes of GL365 clothing, which we're going to talk about a little bit later with our warrior wear. We've done fundraising events. We've done lots of different things to try and raise awareness for brain cancer sufferers, but raise the money that we need for Gem as well. And Gem's been in my life since I was very, very tiny.
Again.
That story refers to me going down a water slide, I
in Alcudia.
Many times with Gemma and Graham, or Spike as I refer to him. And then I believe it was somebody's idea, I'm not going to name names, but I'm not sure whose idea it was, to make me go down faster by removing my swimming costume. And
I'll say it was the dads.
We'll blame Spike.
Blame the dads, yeah.
But I think again became never again when I flew down the slide. And so, yeah, from being very tiny, Spike and Gemma have been in my lives. And so ever since Gem was diagnosed, but even before that, they've been such a big part of everything that we do. And that's why I'm sort of here for this podcast today.
And Megan is an invaluable person in my life. And not just to do with, me fighting cancer. She's just such a special human. Honestly.
Don't you make me
I know
cry.
she'll cringe and,
She'll cringe, you're going to make me cry.
I'll give her the ick and everything else. But she's a really beautiful soul. Beautiful girl inside and out. And I'm so grateful to have her in my life. Like I said, we met her at 2-year-old. Now she's sat here, 20-odd, grown woman. And she's always just been gorgeous. And because I'm a technophobe, I'm rubbish with technology, she's come up trumps with me, helping me with all this, because I could just about turn the computer on and put my password in, and then I'm a bit lost, I'm afraid. So Meg has been a godsend, and I'm so grateful. And so she's so humble, because Meg set up the Warrior Wear 365 clothing brand for me to raise funds for my meds. And without it, it's a massive, massive help, and without it, it'd be lost. And so, on the back of that, we've got some exciting news about Warrior Wear.
Yeah, we thought we could use this episode 2 of the podcast to sort of talk a little bit about what Warrior Wear is. And like we said, it's the clothing that we came up with.
So it's a clothing range.
It is.
And we sell it online, and it basically, all the proceeds go to my meds fund. So
100%, yeah. 100% of profit goes directly to Gem. We don't take any profit that goes anywhere else. It all goes into the fund and straight back to buying new items, which leads us on.
As you can imagine, it's absolutely invaluable. So I've decided I'd like to get a bit more involved, because it's exciting. So I am going to be do a guest edit and have a little range in the Warrior Wear. So watch this space. And also, Meg, haven't we got some funky Christmas PJs coming?
So it may only be September, just when we release this, but we're already thinking about Christmas, because
don't want to give you a panic attack.
I mean, who's with me? I start watching Christmas films in September anyway, so I'll happily start talking about Christmas. As all my friends and family cringe when I start singing Christmas songs in September. I
have sang Christmas songs this week, and I've watched Love Actually, which I only ever watch at Christmas.
I stand by the fact that Love Actually can be watched all year. It's the best film.
Well, we had this debate the other night, and Graham was like, we only usually watch it at Christmas. I was like, I'm watching it tonight.
It's a feel good.
It is. You cannot watch it and not smile.
You can. And I think
love it.
Yeah, that's the one thing that we love about Christmas. And so we're already thinking about Christmas pajamas and a potential Christmas launch that we're going to be setting up very, very soon. So we usually come up with Christmas jumpers or pajamas or something like that, but this year we're hoping to come up with some Christmas boxes where it'll have lots of different things in it, like a mug and maybe a blanket or something, and some jammies.
I wish you could see my my face because I'm so excited.
We're so excited. We love Christmas, and we just want to hopefully put these together so that we can get that out and raise money, but also spread the Warrior Wear around. We've already sent it around the country, but we're hoping to just keep building on that and keep it growing.
Definitely.
And I think we're aiming for 1st of December boxes this year instead of Christmas Eve boxes, because who knows?
It's a bit of a waste of money, isn't
it's
it?
a waste sometimes. You get to Christmas Eve and then it's over. So we are aiming for everything to be launched to arrive with everyone by the 1st of December. So you're going to have to keep your eyes.
You've got the whole of December to wear your goods, so you're getting...
You're getting your money's worth.
Yeah, and then you can keep them for the following Christmas as well, so it's a great idea, I think.
And I think, so there's plenty to come. We're working on all of this in the background, so you can just keep an eye on sort of our socials. We've got GL365 Clothing on Facebook, on Instagram. Just keep an eye out, give us a follow, boost our likes a little bit. But if you're ever speaking to anyone on there, chances are it might be me in the background. And we're going to be doing lots of fun, more exciting things, just to keep raising money for Gem, keep it ticking over, and keep your eyes peeled, because I think as well it leads us into talking a little bit about the Christmas run, because every year, and I'm sure I'll be able to hand over to Gem to talk even more about this, but we have a really special thing that we do, don't we, on Christmas Eve?
We do.
Gem?
So was it 3 years ago it started?
I think so, yeah.
So I think it was 3 years ago now. So I've got a group of friends that I went to school with that we're all still friends. I'm very grateful for. And so my group of friends organised this reindeer run 3 years ago to be completed on Christmas Eve in our local park. And so we all went, did this little run. I don't think I ran. I think I walked 2 steps and then sat down. And it's just, honestly, I can't describe what a gorgeous morning it is, isn't it, Meg? Because there's the run, everyone's Christmased up, all buzzing for Christmas. And then when it's completed, we have a little mince pie and a glass of Bucks Fizz and a little celebrate. And I can't tell you what it does for me that day. It's not only Christmas Eve, and because I love Christmas, so I'm buzzing anyway, but to see people on Christmas Eve do it for me, I can't tell you what, it always makes me cry, always. But I can't wait for it again this year.
I know, I'm so excited. And I think for me, like when you go along, you see people running it properly to try and get time. You see people running it in fancy dress. You see kids running laps and laps, just keeping up.
Just
people bring their dogs, they bring their nanas, their grandmas.
It's lovely, and it's lovely. Like it's almost become a tradition, hasn't it? We've only done it for 3 years, but
last year there must have been close to 250
there must have been, mustn't
there?
And I hope it continues for many years. I really do. And even if I didn't have cancer, I'd want it to continue to raise money for cancer. For other people, because it's just a lovely thing to do and a great cause, obviously.
And I think that's one of the themes, isn't it, that we've found throughout the fundraising. It's the buzz that it gives everybody. Like it's not always about the money. Like raising money is incredible, and that's what we'll keep trying to do, but the buzz that it brings, not just
when you've got people brought together collectively for a good cause, it's all energy, isn't it? You've got all that good energy in one place. You can't beat that feeling.
No, and I think...
And for me, when I think, well, that's all for me, it's mind-blowing.
Yeah, it is. And
I think
it really is. As well, like, I've worked on lots of different projects throughout the time, but it's often meant that I've met or come in contact with other people suffering the similar things.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
definitely
like you said,
opens up the world.
It opens it up, and it's tough because there are people that sadly haven't survived throughout that, and it's really hard. So it's sort of like you're doing it in their memory, whilst boosting our energy and everything as well.
Well, for me, doing this podcast was because I can't tell how many messages weekly I'm fielding, still 4.5 years in, like, oh, I've come across your story, what are you doing, what meds, what's your protocol, things like that. And just people even ask me, what's your DMO, what's your daily method of operation, because like, how do you get through a day? And the first thing I say to everyone is a piece of advice, and I think I've already spoke about this on the last podcast, but a friend of mine who works in cancer services told me, and she looked me dead in the eye and she went to me, 1 day at a time. And at the time I thought, God, that's simple. I can't tell you how valuable that is.
Really.
And at times it's 1 hour at a time. It really is. And as much as I like things to look forward to, some days you can't look forward. It's too dark. It really is. Especially days when I'm in pain or I'm being sick or I'm really struggling. There's hard to see, you know, the next minute sometimes.
Yeah.
So it is. It's just, you know, you've got to constantly look at how to help yourself deal with these things. Or
because I know you touched on last time, hadn't you, that the sickness and things was what's been the struggle. Like, how's it been since that? Is it
just
any
the
better?
same,
Or the
no
same?
better. Been back to the GP because when I went back to my oncologist, she was like, oh, well, maybe see your GP. So you just get passed back and forth. So I went to the GP and she was like, and my GP is amazing, by the way. There's one person I will really stand for. She's really, really good, my GP. And there's not really much else they can do. You know, like they've sent me for tests and things are coming back, nothing to show, but I'm still struggling. So it's like, it's hard to know what to do next. But I tell you what it is, when you have a good day, you forget about it.
Yeah.
And you don't want to go to a doctor, you don't want it looking at, you just want to be left alone. But then the next day you're in agony again, you think, oh, I need to get looked at, I need to get this looked at. So it's constant. But good news about the lump in my jaw, the bloods came back not showing anything sinister, but they are going to scan it just to, you know, be definite. So that's good.
And did it just come up out the blue?
So
or?
this was last week. Oh yeah, so I couldn't remember if it had been on the last podcast or not. So it had been 2 weeks ago, just this lump in my jaw. Like, I remember when I got diagnosed, I'll tell you what it was, when I got prepped for my brain surgery and the doctors come in, I just remember Prof Kane coming in and saying, and she's got a lump of lymph in a neck or a chin or a jaw or something, and he said, but we'll do a PET scan and we'll sort it out later. Well, I never got a PET scan, and I forgot all about this lump until last week. I was just washing my face one night before bed, and as I was like just brushing my cheek with my hand, I thought, oh, that's sore. And I thought, oh, that feels hard. And as I felt it, there was a lump, and it must have been 2 inches, and it was solid, but it was agonisingly painful. And I thought, what the heck is this now? And obviously your brain goes up to all the dark places, but in my mind I was thinking painful usually means it's not sinister.
Right.
And it wasn't quite free moving, which is another good sign. So, but I thought still I need to get it looked at because it's gone from nothing to being massive and painful. So ring the doctors, as you do, get an appointment for the following morning. Brilliant. Wake up the following morning, the lump has disappeared again.
No way.
It's back to a marble. It's still like, you can feel it. But it's back to a marble now. Whereas when I'd made the appointment at the doctor, you could physically see it. When I turned my head, you could see it sticking out my face.
Really?
Yeah. So I'm getting a scan anyway, just to confirm that it's nothing sinister. But there's nothing simple anymore. Do you know what I mean? Even you get a spot and it's like, what's that?
Yeah.
It can't just be a zit.
And your mind will probably race.
Oh,
won't
it is.
with
I've always
everything?
been an overthinker, but it's just gone to another level now. It's like, if I think about the way my brain works, some days I think, how am I still sane?
Yeah.
Because it is. It's just knowing that moving forwards, learning to live with cancer, I'm going to have to really up the self-care, you know, and take care of this vessel.
Yeah.
Because this is all I've got. And, you know, I'm a bit knackered at the minute, so I really need to...
What sort of things are your favourite things to do for self-care?
So my favourite, every single night without fail, I have a red hot bubble bath with all my bath salts in. And, you know, that's a non-negotiable for me. I always have to have my bath. And I've now taken to locking the door and everything, so no kids can come in or anything. And I switch off and I put my music on, put a bit of Spotify on. And then I take my bath without any interruptions, because if you leave the door, you'll know from living with the younger sister, lo and behold, there's always someone wants, ma'am. Even the dog started headbutting the door and coming in. So I think, no, lock the door. And the other thing I really like meditation, mindful meditation. I'm into that, mindfulness. So I do a lot of like wellness days and things like that. So I'm booked on one at the end of October. I'm looking forward to things like that. And massage is my favourite thing in the world, to have a massage. A foot massage, my God. You know, like, you can be stressed to death. You could have a foot massage and all of a sudden the world is just rainbows and butterflies.
Everything's okay.
Isn't it? Yeah, you can deal with things. So it's just, yeah, I do. I need a good old pamper at the minute, I feel like. I feel like I'm falling apart a bit. need a bit of self-care.
But I imagine you're not the only one.
Oh God, I think every parent at the end of the 6 weeks thinks.
So it's very understandable that you feel like this.
Oh, I feel extra frazzled.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry if you can hear some grunting in the background. That's just my French bulldog chewing on. Looks like a squirrel's leg. No, it's just a rawhide bone.
He just wants to be involved, doesn't he?
Yeah, he wants you all to know that he's here supporting me.
Always. It's
Always.
quite nice to hear him in the background.
Yeah, it's comforting, isn't it? His little snorts. My focus today, all day, not just today on this podcast, has been thinking about my birthday next week. So in a week's time, I'm going to be the grand old age of 43.
That's a good age.
Yeah, it's a brilliant age. And, you know, when I was diagnosed 4.5 years ago, if you'd have said to me, do you think you'll be here at 43? I really didn't. In the first year, I didn't think I was seeing out that first year. So now birthdays are completely different. You know, as you get older, especially as women, because we're so critical of ourselves, we hate aging. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm still don't like seeing the extra pound go on or a new wrinkle, but I'm so bloody grateful to make another year and to celebrate another year with the kids and Graham, you know, and my family. It's a blessing, it really is. But on looking into that, because I am, as you know, very deep, I've been quite a reflective mood this week, thinking about my birthday and thinking about, you know, reaching a certain age and what happens in life. And what I've come to the conclusion, now I think I've discussed it with you a little bit earlier, didn't I, Meg? That I think like this is the year of self-care for me. Like I really do. And I feel like at 43, well, 42, 43 next week. Nearly there. Like I finally found my self-worth, which is a bit tragic really, isn't it? I don't want everyone to get the violins out. But, you know, no, as women, I think we just get on with things and you keep going through life. But I don't think I realised I had very, very low self-worth. And it shouldn't take getting to 43 and nearly dying to actually get some. But, you know, ultimately I'm grateful I found that.
Yeah.
I'd rather have it than not. So, yeah, this next year, buckle up everybody, because I might be turned into a narcissist. But I've decided it's about me. I'm going to start putting myself first, which I've never done in my life. Mm-hmm. My needs and my wants, do you know what I mean? And really looking after myself, because I've never done that in my life. I've always looked after everyone else around me and put myself last, which I think is the story of most women and most mothers that I know anyway. But I have done that my whole life. Even as a kid, I'd look after other kids before I would tend to myself. Do you know what I mean? And so, yeah, I think it's took all this for me to finally think, right, well, I'm going to start really taking care of myself. I'm going to start sitting with myself. I sound really like, I am a hippie, so, you know, no surprise. And thinking to myself, what do I need? Mm-hmm. What do I want moving forwards to be the best I can be in life? Because I'm not done yet, you know, just because I've got cancer and I've hitting a certain age, am I thinking, oh, I'm done. I'm not, you know, just this week I've been thinking about learning to play the guitar. Lots of different things I've always wanted to do that I've never done. And I'm sure half of the people I've told have laughed at me and thought, God, she has lost the plot. But ultimately, no, I haven't. I'm kind of starting to see a future, mm-hmm. which I never dared to even think about the future before. And it's not that I think, oh, I've got this now, I'm going to be all right. I'm in the dogfight here still, and I always will be, as far as I'm aware. But do you know what I'm realising? You know, when I first got diagnosed with cancer, it was like, oh, well, that's it, you got cancer, your life's over. It's not. No. It's not. And that's, I think, the realisation I'm coming to. So you get diagnosed and you get told you've got the worst cancer known to man, and your prognosis is, you know, a year. So that first year, I fully expected to die in a year's time, honestly. Like, and it sounds ridiculous even thinking, oh, and that month, that year, that's mm-hmm. it. And now, I can't tell you, it's equally a mind to think about living with cancer for the rest of your life. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I was only thinking about survival before, get through the next year. And it was only Graham tonight before he left for work. We were discussing it and he said, you were just living to like the next someone's birthday or one of the kids' birthdays or Easter. If I get to then, just get me to then. And I was that first year. Whereas now, he said, do you realise that you said something about someone's, like my sister's 36, and I spoke about her 40th the other day, and I said, what will we do? Do you think we'll do for our Jane's 40th? And I didn't even realise I'd said that. And Graham pointed it out to me tonight, and I thought, God, subconsciously I did.
Yeah.
So somewhere in there,
I'm planning
further ahead. So that is a new thing for me, but something I'm very grateful for. But like I say, equally, even surviving has its issues. It's crazy to, think I've been in fight mode for 4.5 years, and maybe I'll be in fight mode for the rest of my life, which is really, well, as you can imagine, it's exhausting. That's exactly how I feel at the minute. I feel wrung out. I feel really, really tired, and I think the more tired you get, the more hard it gets, because you do think, where am I finding the strength to fight this? And the last couple of weeks have been a massive, struggle for me mentally. And I don't know why, just like I said, I think it's just been like a realisation in the past, couple of weeks, what I've been through, where I'm at. Just my whole life, why you get to that point and, you start assessing things and looking into things differently.
But like you said, it's living with it now, isn't it? It's
it
not
is.
just the survival, it's
and
the
I'm
living.
so grateful to still be living at this point. But that's not easy either. That's equally a mind.
Yeah.
I can't swear because my mum will tell me off. But you know what I mean. Because, and it's, you carry guilt as well, because I've met people on this journey in the same situation as me. And when you hear their passing, I can't tell you what it does to you. Obviously, your first thought is for them and the family. But then, unfortunately, your second thought, it does come back to you, and you think, well, if they haven't made it, and especially people doing the same things that you're doing, the same medicine, the same other things, excuse me, it's just constant, and just learning new ways to deal with things. So for me, always getting out in nature saves me. I'm a tree hugger. No, I really am, honestly. And when we went to the lakeside this year, I was hugging trees, hitting the kids, honestly, because it's true about plants and trees.
Giving it a hug.
About the energy, yeah? It is. Yeah, so I think I'm just learning different ways to cope, which is all you've got to do every step of the way, just adapt. And, so before it was all physical, but I've got a massive battle in my head at the minute, mental battle, so I'm learning how to deal with that. It's just constantly looking to how you can make things better. Because I don't want to just live with cancer but be sick. I want to live a decent life and feel well enough, to enjoy my kids. But I have found this 6 weeks holiday period really hard, the children being off. And even though they're very well behaved kids, younger one's a bit more testing. The elder one is no bother at all. It's just hard having someone else there. And you know what else it is? Kids constantly watching you. So even if I'm having a bad day, I can't just go and sit and have a little sigh and put my head in my hands. I've got to keep going. So I am really wrung out, because even when I want to go and lay in bed, you think I can't, because you don't want the kids to see that. And
also you're sort of living with that guilt, aren't you, of I'm here, I want to make the most of everything. Yeah. But sometimes it's okay to just do a mundane,
constant
movie
FOMO,
day. Yeah,
constant FOMO, thinking, I need to be doing this, I need to be doing that.
Yeah.
I need to be making memories. But do you know what? Ultimately, some of the best memories are when you have a pyjama day and you play Monopoly and you all watch a movie together and eat a load of rubbish.
They're the best days.
They're the best days, and you haven't spent a penny or been anywhere, left the house. So, and we're pretty good at that, and we've done a lot of baking and stuff. We love baking. So we've done a lot of
testament to that. I came round tonight to record the podcast, got a lovely meal cooked for me by Jem, and then a cookie cooked by Grayson.
I was going to say, I can't claim the cookie.
The cookies were incredible. But sometimes, like you said, they're the best memories.
I mean, from being younger and from having a younger sister, how much kids cost, and, how much school holidays cost, and, it's okay to stay at home, isn't it? And just have a good old-fashioned family day, and that's what we've done a lot of recently. And
doesn't have to be anything flash, does it?
It doesn't, not with kids, no.
Give them an ice pop and they're happy half the time.
Oh, yeah. Well, my Hadley, she's discovered ice pops and Jack's 2s and 8s and her cards. So that's her summer. She's had a summer of card schools.
Oh, I remember being younger and spending a whole summer like playing solitaire with the cards and trying just to build a card pyramid. And it was great fun.
She had a sleepover at the cousins earlier on in the summer, and they got the cards out and taught her Jacks, 2s and 8s, and that's it. Since then she's been away with it. But I can't play anymore, I forgot.
To be fair, I love Uno. Have you played Uno?
I haven't played Uno.
That's a nicer version, I think, of Jacks, 2s and 8s. Although it can still get very competitive.
Yeah, there's a bit of competition in this house.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah, a few cheats. I'm not going to name any names.
With Graham Lee getting named and named.
I'm not saying anything. All I'll say is I hustle, other people cheat.
Yeah, I don't believe you would ever cheat.
No,
Jen.
I'm just hustler.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm not a cheater, am I? It's been really nice just to spend time together.
Yeah, I bet. And just to make the most of that time off. But relax a little bit when they go back to school, I bet.
Oh, yeah, I'm looking forward to that. And I know that makes me sound awful, but mums, you feel me.
That's real life, though, isn't it? It is.
But also, for me, Meg, what happens to me is when the kids are off, obviously they're my focus completely. So then my focus takes away from me, and I am bad. I forget meds. I forget certain things I should be doing. I don't get exercise. I don't get any meditation. So I do find it harder when the kids are off because it's harder to do them self-care things that I've already discussed because the guilt, isn't it? The mum guilt. You can't ever... You know, even earlier on today, I was sat on the couch playing on a game on my phone, which is my go-to safe place. But I even have guilt doing that, thinking I should be doing something really.
Yeah.
And then I have this internal conversation in my head saying, well, you have got stage 4 cancer, you're allowed to put your feet up. And I think, yeah, but you've had half an hour, get moving. But that's my mindset, it always has been. I don't allow myself, you know, to...
And sometimes you've got to.
You have. But, you know, it's a good thing and a bad thing. It's probably why I'm doing well. But if I want to keep doing well, I need to listen to the other part of me that says, take the rest.
Yeah. 100%.
Don't go today. But I have, in the last couple of weeks, I've cancelled plans, I've rearranged certain appointments and things and thought, no, I'm not leaving the house, I'm too tired. So it's just that, finding the balance again. It's like, you think you've got it all figured out and then there's another plot twist, you know what I mean, constantly. So, yeah, but no complaints. So January, I will be 5 years. And I think I mentioned it the last podcast, but there's only 1% of people diagnosed with glioblastoma that make it to the 5-year marker. So I'm 5 months out from that, no 4. But it weighs so heavy. As much as I am so bloody grateful to be in this position, even in my head this week I was thinking, something will happen the week before, I won't make it that far. You know, like...
Constantly thinking
it's like when you've got... Because my anxiety is horrific. I'm really struggling with anxiety at the minute. But when you've got anxiety, it's like there's like the devil's living in your head, telling you all the worst case scenarios of everything. And I've never been that person. I've always been able to rise above, and I've never had easy life, even as a kid. I've always been able to like suck it up, if you like, and get on with things. And that's what I'm struggling with at the minute, that I just, even some days I just think, oh, the thoughts are just so dark, like it's hard.
And that's the side of it that I think people don't always see, do they?
Yeah,
like,
no.
Because you don't always want to admit that, but
No,
it's
definitely
okay
not.
to
Definitely
admit
not.
it.
It's easier to do it publicly on this podcast than to sit and say it to my mum or Graham or my sister, because I know it'll hurt them so much. But I know when they listen to it with everyone else, and this will just think it's part of the podcast. It'll be easier to take, if you like.
But it's okay to admit that there's hard days and that there's hard thoughts and dark thoughts.
And I found it hard as well because my cousin's partner has just been diagnosed with breast cancer. And just, you know, talking to her and having to go through all this. And she's one of the most wonderful people you could meet, Nikki. She really is. And you think, come on, God. Look, how is this fair? Do you know what I mean? But ultimately, it is what it is. We're all in this situation, and now we've just got to do what we can to get out of it. And, you know, it's always been a favourite analogy of mine. They say, you know, they're saying, you can't decide what cards you get dealt. All you can do is play the hell out of the hand you dealt. And that's all I'm doing here.
Yeah. And even spilling it on this podcast is massive. It's a big step.
Yeah, well, even this is therapy to me. You know what I mean? Because I'm talking about, God, fancy choosing a podcast to tell your innermost darkest thoughts. What a weirdo I am.
Not a weirdo at all.
No, I've always said, if you're going to say something, be honest. Otherwise, what is the point? No one wants me to come in and go, hi, everything's great, yeah, been out today, and, you know, I ran a marathon, and because, let's face it, it's not realistic.
And that's not realistic in a lot of people's lives when you throw in top of everything that you're dealing with.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not dealing with stage 4 brain cancer, and it'd be easy for me to sit here and go, oh, well, everything's been great, life's great, and everyone goes through these things, don't they? And, like, when you add in what you're dealing with on top of that, it's natural to sometimes sit and worry or be anxious, and it's hard.
Challenging, definitely, challenging.
And anxiety's horrible.
It is, and I've always been an anxious person, a worrier, but, well, I thought I was, but not to this.
Yeah.
So now I'm at a point where I can't be on my own. I really struggle to be on my own because the thoughts are that bad. So if you see me, I'm always on my phone playing games because I can't just sit. And, you know, it does do my head in, but in the grand scheme of things, if that's the worst I have to deal with today, I can deal with that. Do you know what I mean?
What's your favourite game to play on your phone?
God, I'm a sad one. I love Tetris.
I love a bit of Tetris.
Tetris is my all-time favourite because I love computers. I love I'm not technical. I love gaming. Mario Kart is my absolute favourite.
Gets very competitive in our house.
Well, it doesn't here, but I'm going to throw down the gauntlet and quite happily and honestly say I am the Mario Kart champion of the Lee household. Yes. There'll be contests to that, I know. That will cause ructions tonight in this house.
Hadley's already popping her head round.
I'll tell you right now, I am pretty damn good. And I'm always Wario.
Really? Oh, I might have to try being Wario.
You have to be Wario, and you have to be in the big chunky truck with all the spikes coming out of the tyres and things.
I've always thought to be Princess Peach, like in
No.
my little pink
car. No. Because when you're Wario, you can knock other drivers off the road, can't you?
I'm going to have to retry that now, Jem.
Honestly, me and Graham, even before we had kids, we've played Mario Kart, right? When we played at Donny, and we lived in Doncaster, there was like a period where we had to have a word ourselves because we were staying up like every night till 2 a.m. playing Mario Kart. Yeah. And we were going to bed at night and we couldn't sleep, and in our heads we were like racing. And I was saying, I'm racing you in my head. And he was like, I'm in Rainbow Bridge or whatever. I'm like, oh my God. So yeah, we know it well, put it that way. So we introduced the kids to it, and then lo and behold, there's family Mario Kart tournaments.
I love that.
Yeah, they always end in tears. Of some description. Blood, sweat and tears, but I am the champion. Let it be said. Let it be known.
Lay that one down.
Let it be known.
Gemma is the champion of Mario Kart.
Yes.
I love that.
So if anyone wants to challenge me, bring it on.
Yeah, you'll get loads of people knocking on your door now, Gem, coming in. Like, I'm here for a Mario Kart tournament. Let's go.
Bring it.
You can't let anyone beat you. We're not having that.
Never?
Hadley's fighting in the background. She's saying she can beat her.
Oh, yeah. So my little girl Hadley is stood in the hallway behind us, gesturing that I'm not telling the truth, that I'm the champion. I don't know about that, guys. How about you?
Do you want to come and say hello,
Would you like
Hads?
to say hello, Hads?
No.
Okay. So maybe another time, because tonight I was thinking maybe about getting one of the children on to speak. But, you know, I think it's a bit of a touchy subject because they're fine talking about it because we're an open household. We talk about it all the time. But I'm aware, you know, I might say things they've not heard before and things like that. So you just got to be mindful.
And I think it can be hard topics, can't it? And
yeah, tough. It is. Especially for Hadley, because when I first got diagnosed, she was only 3. And that's very young to understand what's going on. And, you know, it's only in the last year she's asked me different questions where I think she's coming to an understanding of what's really happening. But Grayson, he understood straight away because he was 5. But, you know, the kids have been amazing. Absolutely amazing. Because obviously I'm not the same mum that I was. And there's things like they'll ask me to do things and I might be having a bad day and I can't do it. And I'm like, no, I'm not. They never complain. They never say, oh, come on. Or, oh, wait, mum. they're really understanding. I'm very grateful for that. I am.
Yeah, I think it's good as well that they know you.
Yeah.
They know, don't they? And they know what to say and what to do to cheer you up.
And ultimately, I don't lay about, moaning and groaning and feeling sorry for myself. I try and be as normal as much as I can remember that I was like as possible. I've always got music on in the kitchen. There's always a kitchen disco. There's always, laughter. I think they're my prerequisites for life, music and laughter. So,
100%. I think you're totally right. One thing that you've been able to do now, again, is drive, isn't it?
Yeah, that is,
getting the kids out, I suppose, is a little bit
easier.
You,
when I look back now, I had 2 years that I couldn't drive for. I don't know how I managed them 2 years, but that shows you really how ill I was, that it didn't bother me. You know what I mean? Now, I'm physically able to get out and about. If I couldn't get out in the car now, I'd be absolutely devastated. I'd be totally lost.
Yeah.
It was just that freedom. And, I've got brilliant family and friends. People picked me up and took me everywhere. But you hate asking, and you hate, I hate feeling like a burden on anyone.
Which you're not, but you always say you are.
I always feel like once you get an illness and you're not the same as you were, that's how you feel. I do feel like a massive burden on people. I think, God, am I just like a mood killer?
Don't be daft.
That's how I feel. Am I a mood hoover now?
A mood hoover.
I think, oh God.
No, never. But I think, that freedom, I bet, it's amazing to have it back.
Amazing. Some days, just when I'm on my own in the car on an empty motorway, and I look at the sky and I think, thank you, God. I think this feels good, because it makes me feel in control again. Do you know what I mean? And I can still do something that I used to do.
That's a little bit interesting, though, what you said there about thank you, God. Is that... I mean, I did a theology degree, so if anyone knows me, they know that I'm constantly analysing religious comments and things that people say, but has it sort of helped your religious beliefs in a sense? Is it stronger, or is it, I don't know, have you found it harder to have that religious...
I've struggled massively thinking, because I do believe in a higher power, I just don't know what I call it.
Yeah.
I call it source, really, when I'm doing my prayers or affirmations. But I've struggled with a God, if you like, because I think, what God does this to me? Because I know I've been a good human all my life. I know I've not hurt anyone or caused anyone pain or, being a bad person. So I struggle with that. I have struggled massively with that. But ultimately, I think, your path's your path. And like we spoke about earlier on tonight, you dealt... You deck your cards, and you've got to play the crap out of what you've been dealt. So I'm still figuring out the God thing. And I made a joke that I found God on the bathroom floor in Turkey, but I think I might have, because since then I have been talking to God. If you like,
when you were really
when I was really poorly and I thought this is it, I suddenly found him. Then, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you do wonder, don't you?
It's interesting, isn't it? Because I think it can be really tough when you look at like you said, the cards you've been dealt. You can sometimes, and I can totally understand how some people look and go, who would let this happen
to me? Yeah. But I've got a friend at the gym, David. He's an older guy, but he's very religious. And we talk about religion a lot. He's friends with a pastor, and he meets with them regularly. And when I talk to David, and he says, but you must. And I said, but David, I said, and he cares about me, so he's not saying it as if you just must. I said, but I really struggle, because why would you do this to me or my children? More my kids, that's what I think about, not me. Why would you let my kids rob them of the mother they should have had?
That's hard.
It is. That's where I struggle. That's where I break down when I think of the kids and what they've lost. Not having the best version of me, do you know what I mean? But they've still got a version of me, so
and a pretty incredible version.
I'm very grateful for that.
You're a true warrior.
Oh, bless you, Meg.
But no, I think
I try.
You are, though, and I think
keep on trying.
It's really tough for you to sit here and sort of lay it all out on the line. But there's so much that you have battled and got through, and
and if this helps a person sat at home, because the other day there was a girl who's just been diagnosed, a young mum with 2 kids like me, and I had a good conversation for ages, just via WhatsApp, message. But we'd spoke about that, and she said, like, the inspo that I was. And then when I've thought about doing this podcast, what I've thought ultimately is, I now am the person I needed when I first got diagnosed.
100%.
You know, a woman doing it with 2 kids, but doing it and surviving and living, not just, you know, muddling through cancer. So I feel like doing this well with cancer, I can't not do this podcast, you know, to show people that there is hope.
Yeah.
There is options out there. You've got to search far and wide. And I'm not saying, oh, do what I've done, you'll be okay. Because God knows, you know, it's a cocktail of things you've got to constantly throw at this cancer. Because as you block one pathway, it figures out a new one. So you've got to figure out, right, what's it need now? Block the sugar aspect or whatever else it might be. So if me doing this and sharing my load helps one person,
and
I've done my job.
Completely imagine that it will. And I think even people that maybe aren't going through brain cancer or anything,
any challenge in
like
life.
I can hand on heart say the day you were diagnosed or anything, my perspective on life changed, because it was like life can be so short.
Absolutely.
And it is. And now I sometimes look back and I think, well, why am I getting upset over that? Or that's a trivial thing, when look at the battles and everything that Gem's going through and you overcome, and it's a different perspective on life.
Yeah,
and I think
I know what you mean.
Some people have commented on the first episode, haven't they?
Yeah.
And said the perspective.
I've had lots of positive feedback, so thank you guys for that. I really appreciated it, and hence why I'm back with another one.
Yeah, and I think just continuing to just spread your message and
just share the word.
Absolutely. Yeah. Do you want to mention about the email address we've got as well, Gem?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I will.
So, guys, as I mentioned earlier, if you've got any questions for me, if you've got any questions about my meds, about my DMO, about my diet, anything, fire away. If you want some advice, if you're struggling, I'm not saying I'm the guru or I've got the answers, but if what I've gone through can help anyone else, it gives me a reason for having this, and that makes me sleep better at night. And so, if you've got any of those questions or, you know, queries, you can send them to me at my email address, which is bitsofmybrokenbrain@gmail.com, and I will get back to you, and then I'll talk about it on here. So we can be a bit more interactive, and I can give you a bit more what you want, because no one's through me just waffling on for hours at end, because anyone who knows me knows I can do that quite easily.
And I think one thing that we did last time, which will just be a nice way to sort of round off the podcast, is just one thing that's made you smile or laugh this week. It's always nice to share a story, and mine I think will have to be when I've just got back from Disneyland Paris, and there was, I know it was incredible, but there was 14 of us, but we took my nana and my granddad, and they're not rides people, obviously they're late 60s, early 70s, and decided, the both of them, that they wanted to go on Big Thunder Mountain. Weren't really sure what it was, but both thought they'd give it a try while we were in Disney.
Oh my God.
And I don't think I've ever laughed as hard
Pauline
as
and Dennis.
watching Pauline and Dennis on Big Thunder Mountain.
Oh, I wouldn't go that, jeez.
We got to the end, and I turned round to my granddad, who I
Were
wish...
they as white as a sheet?
Well, I actually wish I could have videoed, because they loved it, both of them.
They loved it.
They smiled and screamed and laughed the whole time. And I turned round to my granddad at the end and I said, "What do you think, Granddad? How was that?" He went, "I think there's something in me pants." And honestly, so that's something that's made me laugh.
Oh,
this
well,
week,
you've made
so
me laugh for that one.
If that's a story to cheer some people up.
Yeah,
but
please, someone email me some funny stories and make me laugh.
Yeah, we love funny stories and
we do.
Anecdotes, anything, or any questions or anything to send.
Yeah.
Please send them over.
Look forward to receiving them and chatting next time. I tell you what makes me laugh every night. I have to watch something funny every night on TV before bed to try and chase the dark thoughts out. It's always Catherine Tate for me. Always.
Really?
Oh, I love her. Absolutely love Catherine Tate. Or, you know, like the old sketch shows like Phoenix Nights.
Yes.
Love it.
Love Phoenix Nights.
Yeah, love it. Or Paddy and Max.
It's so good.
So, guys, we'll be back with episode 3 and potentially have a guest with us. Also, I would just like to add as a side note, if anyone would like to actually be a guest, please contact me and we could maybe arrange it. Or if you're someone at home just being diagnosed with brain cancer or any type of cancer or any type of illness, want me to discuss a certain thing or find out, got a certain question, please, contact me one way or another and I will make sure I discuss it on this podcast, because I don't want this to be just for me. I want it to be for everyone who's going through struggles, not just for cancer sufferers. Anyone going through any kind of struggle needs a little bit of a boost, a bit of support or some advice, or even just some pointers for getting through your day, you know what I mean? Please fire me a question or ask, come on and have a chat. You know what it's like, you do these things and you really don't know how it's going to be received. And you know, Meg, what I'm like. I hate the sound of my own voice as it is. And I'm an oversharer and I have a potty mouth. So it's been quite nerve-wracking for me to do this. But the feedback I had after the first episode's all been extremely positive. So I would just like to thank everyone who listened for the positive feedback, because what that's done now, it's spurred me on to go again and think, right, I'm on the right path, this is what I need to be doing. And ultimately, I just want to share what's going on and, help more people know there's other things out there that can help you.
Yeah, 100%.
So thanks for listening.
Thank you very much. And thanks for having me on the podcast, Jem.
Oh, thanks for coming.
And hopefully we will be back very soon, and Jem will be back with episode 3.
Yeah.
And hopefully with another guest. So keep your
Definitely.
eyes and ears peeled out for that one.
Bye-bye.
Bye.